I'm just going to look at passivity and activity in relation to intensity and non-intensity, whatever that would be, because of thinking through thinking through maybe the gaze of Buteau and things like this, where we see passivity use intensity to gain activity. So maybe we can draw some sort of axis along that line. So I think I'll start with usual sort of terrible demarcation of the active there and passive here. There we go. Very traditional. So normally we see that we have a positioning of something, usually when it's positioned, and then we'll use the blue to note the positioning of something in relation to that. So always, if it's in relation to, it often has a passivity. So I don't know if that needs description, but for me that works. If we consider that this is positioned, this has a position, so like we take that as, well, let's use the right colours. That's our positioned, and then this is here in relation to this. And I think this will always have a kind of center role. So what I do to try and stir, what I've been interested in is what happens when this role of the positioned deactivates itself, so it becomes passive, like this. And what we see is that the in relation to becomes active as that becomes passive. So let's see if we can use the diagram we just did. So we have this in relation to, and then this in relation to this. And then if we imagine this starts to be passive, so it's obviously this paraxis is subjective, so it's difficult to talk about perhaps. And then we see this we become more aware of this because of this deactification. So this becomes sort of larger, a speck on the thick scheme of things. Okay? So then the argument that I've been playing with is that then what I imagine happens is, because of the activation of the in relation to, it starts to go passive because of its awareness of this position, and like so and so and so and so and so and so and so. So we see that the waves of passivity and activity get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. But they don't meet a non-exchange. I think that they maintain a sense of vibration. At least in my head, this is how I imagine it happens. But maybe we could look at this crucial point here, this one here, I guess, where we see the second change. So we'll just talk through that. So let's start again. We start with our positioned and our positioned in relation to. And then we feel this become passive, and this starts to have more attention. And as this starts to have more attention, I feel this would so we look towards this because it's positioned in, then we realize that's in relation and it becomes active, and we realize that's in relation to that. And I think we start to see maybe the relation of the two sort of bouncing off each other. So as that becomes passive, we see that this is in relation to it, and through seeing that that is in relation to it, it becomes active, and so on. So maybe it is in fact the relation between the two which causes the exchange of passivity and activity. I'm not sure at all what kind of time scale this would be. This here, what this is, or what type of timeline this is, and how helpful that is. Anyway, so that's. So to go on a bit, because this is, I wanted to add in the idea of intensity. Because let's say in a Buto performance, this would be the audience, in relation to the Buto performance. And the Buto performance, although has a sense of passivity, the moving towards because of its slowness, but there is an intensity. So I wonder if, perhaps we can't call intensity passivity, and maybe this is where I have a problem. But let's, for argument's sake, pretend that intensity can be passivity. So what do we see? I think we would see that it goes, because of its relation, it starts up there and goes into passivity. And maybe has an effect like this. So because of its slowness and duration, because that's the sense of a Buto performance, that there is a sense of slowness, that it would drop down into passivity, and then we would see a slow increase which gives it its sense of intensity. So then I don't know, I guess, we just, I'm adding another line, but the intensity gives the activity. So I guess we see that. I don't know how I would draw that on the thing, but because of its long duration, so here we can definitely have now time here, and this to be long duration, so long duration. Just so that we know that the intensity comes from that. So now I would like to understand the role of the passive. So we start, or the audience, or in relation to the Buto performer. So it starts passive. And I can't imagine that this can't happen, that we get a slight up. But I wonder if the spectator's intensity can be I think what we would see is exactly as we've seen before. We would see a decretion. So because this is always in relation to this and that into it, we see that the Buto performer who invests that sense of duration in passivity allows for this kind of exchange. I guess the question is, can this come down again into passivity? So, where's our number one? This is our number one here. This is our first example. This is our Buto example. So could this be the same? Oh wait, I've got this. Sorry, I got these the wrong way around. So this is one, this is Buto. So could this be the same? Could this curve here be this line here? And then can we see that across time we can also have this? It's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. I wonder if you can have multiple agents. So you have a general activity which spans across a long duration, and then within a short duration, so say the timeline number one could be as short, you also have this fluctuation of passivity and activity. Okay.